Horatio Nelson, a name etched in history, represents the epitome of naval prowess, leadership, and valor. His remarkable life, marked by both triumphs and failures, serves as a source of inspiration and lessons for generations. Born in 1758, the sixth of 11 children in Burnham Thorpe, Norfolk, Nelson's early affinity for the sea led him to join the Royal Navy at the tender age of 12. Nelson's first years in the Navy were a mixture of routine experience and high adventure. These included a voyage to the West Indies by merchant ship and a dangerous and unsuccessful scientific expedition to the Arctic in 1773. His swift ascent through the ranks showcased his exceptional abilities and dedication. At the age of 20, he was given the rank of captain in command of a frigate. The year was 1779, and Nelson soon found action in the war against the American colonies. Nelson took part in operations against Spanish settlements in Nicaragua, which became targets once Spain joined France in alliance with the American revolutionaries. After sailing up the mouth of the San Juan River, Nelson's expeditionary force obtained the surrender of the fortress of the Immaculate Conception and its 160 Spanish defenders after a 2-week siege. Despite this success, the British force was decimated by yellow fever, costing the lives of 2,500 men and forcing the British to withdraw back to Jamaica. Despite this, Nelson was praised for his efforts. Following the American Revolution, Nelson took charge of a ship in the West Indies enforcing the British Navigation Acts, which made him unpopular among other British officials in the region who had declined to enforce the acts due to their own vested interests. Nelson was eventually returned to England, where he would not find another commission and instead spend 5 years on reserve and half pay. In another time, Horatio Nelson and his strategic genius may have been lost to anonymity. However, events would soon conspire to bring Nelson back to the sea and ensure his legacy. Revolution in France ignited Europe. Within a few days of the execution of King Louis XVI of France in January 1793, Nelson was given command of the 64-gun Agamemnon. His task was to fight the revolutionary French and support British allies in the Mediterranean. Assigned to the forlorn defense of the port of Toulon against the revolutionaries, among them a 24-year-old officer of artillery, Napoleon Bonaparte. However, the situation in Toulon took an unexpected turn when tensions within the coalition and among the royalist factions escalated. As the situation deteriorated and French revolutionary forces closed in on the city, the British decided to evacuate Toulon. Nelson played a vital role in overseeing the chaotic and perilous withdrawal of British and royalist forces, ensuring that crucial naval assets were not left behind. While the evacuation of Toulon was not a resounding victory, Nelson's performance during the operation highlighted his resourcefulness and leadership under challenging circumstances. Nelson's path to greatness wasn't without its setbacks. During this time, the failed assault on Santa Cruz de Tenerife in 1797, he lost his arm. This failure, however, did not deter him. Instead, it fueled his determination to prove himself on the grand stage. Less than a year after this defeat, Nelson would go on to have one of his greatest victories. In 1798, Napoleon Bonaparte embarked on an audacious expedition to Egypt, aiming to establish French influence in the region and disrupt British trade routes to India. Nelson recognized the urgency of preventing the French from gaining a foothold in the Mediterranean. He followed the French, leading to a decisive battle known as the Battle of the Nile, also known as the Battle of O'Keer Bay. The engagement was a pivotal moment in the conflict, showcasing Horatio Nelson's exceptional strategic prowess and marking a decisive victory for the British Royal Navy. The battle took place near the coast of Egypt, in the Bay of Aboukir, where the French Mediterranean fleet had anchored in a strong defensive position. The French forces were stationed in a crescent formation, with their ships anchored close to the shore and protected by shoals and the batteries of the Aboukir fort. Nelson's British fleet, comprised of 14 ships of the line, arrived at the scene after sunset on August 1st. Instead of engaging the French fleet head-on, Nelson devised a daring and innovative plan. Under the cover of darkness, the British fleet executed a daring maneuver known as breaking the line. This strategy involved splitting the French line into two parts by sailing between their anchored ships and the shore. This unexpected maneuver caught the French off guard, disrupted their formation, and nullified their defensive advantage. Throughout the night, a fierce and chaotic battle ensued, with ships on both sides firing broadsides at close range. Nelson's personal leadership and the resolute efforts of his crews were instrumental in gaining the upper hand. By the morning of August 2nd, the British had managed to disable or capture many of the French ships, leaving them in a state of disarray. The battle had far-reaching consequences, significantly weakening French influence in the Mediterranean and hindering Napoleon Bonaparte's plans for expanding his influence in the region. After the resounding victory at the Nile, in 1798, Nelson returned to Britain as a national hero, celebrated for his strategic brilliance and unwavering resolve. This victory, however, was tempered by his concern for the geopolitical landscape, particularly the ambitions of Napoleon Bonaparte. Despite the acclaim, Nelson faced health challenges and the lingering effects of the injuries sustained during battles, including the loss of his arm and loss of sight in his right eye. Fears that the Danish Navy would join the French drew Nelson back into the theater of war. The Battle of Copenhagen, fought in April 1801, was a defining moment in Horatio Nelson's career and a critical naval engagement in the context of the Napoleonic Wars. The battle arose from Britain's determination to neutralize the Danish-Norwegian fleet, which posed a potential threat to British maritime dominance. In the Battle of Copenhagen, Horatio Nelson employed a series of audacious and innovative tactics that showcased his strategic brilliance and ability to adapt to challenging circumstances. Facing a well-fortified Danish fleet anchored in the harbor and a maze of shoals and shifting winds, Nelson devised a plan that exploited the weaknesses of the enemy and maximized the impact of his own forces. One of Nelson's most significant tactics was his decision to engage the Danish fleet head-on, despite unfavorable winds and treacherous waters. This move defied conventional naval wisdom, which favored attacking from windward positions. However, Nelson recognized that the Danish ships were heavily defended by shore-based batteries, making it crucial to neutralize them quickly. By attacking directly, Nelson aimed to bypass the shore defenses and focus the firepower of his fleet on the enemy ships themselves. To address the challenges posed by the changing winds and shallow waters, Nelson relied on his extensive knowledge of the Baltic region's conditions. He coordinated his fleet's movements with precision, making use of his experienced captain's familiarity with the area to navigate the difficult terrain. Another key moment involved the signal for a retreat, sent by Nelson's superior, Admiral Sir Hyde Parker. The signal was sent during a moment when the battle seemed to be going against the British. Unwilling to back down, Nelson turned to his friend Captain Foley and said, "You know I have only one eye. I have a right to be blind sometimes," and raising a spyglass to his right eye, said, "I really do not see the signal." This symbolic act demonstrated his determination to press on with the attack, motivating his fleet to continue the engagement. Nelson's unorthodox tactics, which emphasized aggressive engagement and bypassing traditional strategies, ultimately proved successful. The Danish fleet, subjected to relentless British firepower, began to suffer heavy losses, compelling the Danish crown prince to order a ceasefire and negotiate a truce. As the war progressed, the British Royal Navy were aware of the growing threat posed by the combined French and Spanish fleets and commenced a pursuit of these forces as they exited the port of Toulon. Nelson's masterful strategy was to intercept and engage the enemy before they could consolidate their strength and combine their fleets effectively. However, tracking the enemy across the vast expanse of the Mediterranean proved challenging as they constantly changed course, seeking to avoid a direct confrontation. Nelson's relentless pursuit eventually led the British fleet to the coastline of Spain, off the Cape of Trafalgar. On October 21st, 1805, the two fleets finally clashed in a battle that would define the fate of Europe and naval warfare. The Battle of Trafalgar was a dramatic culmination of naval strategy, innovation, and valor. Nelson's tactical approach was revolutionary. Knowing that the Franco-Spanish fleet had a numerical advantage, Nelson devised a daring plan to break through their line of ships and engage them in close combat. He divided his fleet into two columns. As the British fleet advanced in a two-pronged attack, Nelson's objective was to punch through the Franco-Spanish line at two strategic points, causing confusion and disorder within their formation. The British ships sailed straight into the midst of the enemy line, delivering devastating broadsides that wreaked havoc. The maneuver allowed the British to engage multiple enemy ships at close quarters simultaneously, preventing the Franco-Spanish fleet from effectively responding. Nelson's innovative tactics exploited the British fleet's superior firepower and maneuverability. By focusing on individual ships, rather than broadsides, the British were able to inflict significant damage on the enemy and dismantle their formations. The chaotic and intense close-range combat heavily favored the British, as they were renowned for their discipline and gunnery skills. The battle raged on for hours, with the British seizing the initiative and overwhelming the Franco-Spanish fleet. By the end of the engagement, the British had captured or destroyed 22 enemy ships, while not a single British vessel was lost to the enemy. However, victory came at a cost. Vice Admiral Nelson was wounded and killed by sniper fire during the battle. The Battle of Trafalgar was a turning point in naval warfare. Nelson's audacious tactics, which defied conventional strategies, showcased the power of aggressive and innovative thinking in battle. The engagement's significance extended beyond the tactical realm. It cemented British naval supremacy, secured their control of the seas, and thwarted Napoleon Bonaparte's ambitions of invading Britain. While the battle claimed the life of Horatio Nelson, his legacy endured. His strategic brilliance, fearless leadership, and commitment to duty left an indelible mark on naval history. Nelson's life offers a treasure trove of lessons that transcend time. Leadership and fearlessness. Nelson's leadership style was characterized by his willingness to lead by example, even in the face of imminent danger. His presence on the front lines inspired his crew and instilled unwavering confidence in their abilities. Adaptability and innovation. His willingness to tailor his strategies to the specific circumstances of each battle showcased his innovative thinking and ability to capitalize on opportunities. Resilience in the face of failure. Nelson's setbacks, such as the loss of his arm and occasional political controversies, demonstrate that even the greatest leaders encounter failures. However, it is the ability to rise above these challenges that truly defines one's character. Sacrifice and dedication. Nelson's ultimate sacrifice at Trafalgar exemplifies the idea of giving everything for a higher cause. His commitment to protecting his nation's interests above personal safety remains a testament to his dedication and sense of duty. In conclusion, Horatio Nelson's life is a tapestry woven with both the threads of success and failures, creating a mosaic of a true naval legend. His triumphs showcased his strategic brilliance, fearlessness, and adaptability, while his failures reminded us of the inherent risks in leadership and the importance of resilience. The lessons drawn from his life continue to serve as a guiding light for leaders and individuals alike, inspiring them to strive for excellence, no matter the challenges they face. Please consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel for more captivating historical insights. Your support means the world to us, and it ensures that we can continue to bring you engaging content on the remarkable events that have shaped our world. Thank you for being a part of our community.